Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, communication plan for sellers. So the number one complaint that people have with real estate agents is, I don't hear from my agent. Communication. Now, the first rule of communication is communication without context is miscommunication. The second rule of communication is if your clients are reaching out to you for things that you promised them, you failed. So here's what happens. When we want the listing, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. What do then our clients experience? Wow, my agent is going to offer me all of these different things. And then what actually happens? The lack of your organization for some of us here kick in. And when your business does not live on your calendar and it lives on your cell phone, your text message, your notes, random emails, what happens? We forget things. Do you know how many clients over the last 6 years have been hired simply for the fact that they had a written communication plan? Has anyone here had this happen? Andrea, unmute yourself, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
See?
Would you like to share
See?
your experience?
I shared. What's your question? Yes, I did.
And share the experience of what that was like, what your client said.
Is a high C communicator. So I showed him the facts and the data and my schedule and everything else. And I got his deal, I got his wife's deal, and on and on.
And what's, for those that don't know the DISC profile, what's a high C?
Analytical.
Got it. And so when you showed him and shared with him this written communication plan, what was his response?
Oh, I was like speaking his language.
Exactly. Thank you. Look, the thing I want all of us to remember before we go through how to use the plan, how to frame the conversation, you know, all the actual important parts, is these are people. They're not sellers, they're people. Moving sucks. It really does. And if you look at the entire transaction process, we all are project managers to some extent, right? When you meet somebody, you're going, you know, they have their motivations, expectations, disappointments, concerns, what they're really excited about, why they're moving. And then we have to go through home prep, decluttering, staging, photography, videos, private exclusive, coming soon, the initial property launch, the open house, the broker open house. Those are 10 different events that happen in a short amount of time. Then they have showings, showing feedback, your marketing, the results of your marketing, changes in the market. Those are another 5 different events. And all of these things are happening while they're just figuring out, is someone going to buy my house, give me a good price and good terms? And then how do I figure out how to go somewhere else? Do you understand when you say it that way and you could put yourself in somebody's shoes, why communication is so important to you? Now, if you don't know what's going on, what comes into your head? A lot of positive thoughts or fear, doubt, worry, uncertainty, anxiety? Which one? Fear, Mary Murphy. That's correct. I can read your lips. Fear. Who here has had a bad experience with a contractor? Right? All of us. And what do you do with a contractor? What's going on? When's the update? Or are you coming back here this day? When is the next thing going to happen? And my favorite one are you coming and working on Saturday? Because you have no idea. Don't create that experience for your clients. I lost track of the numbers. Number 3 or number 4. you don't want clients that don't want to work in a structured process. Can anyone give me one logical, adult-driven decision that a person would not want everything organized, written, and be predictable? Anybody? Anyone want to give me an objection to predictability? I'll give you one. But what happens if I need to talk to you? Well, no one said that you can't talk to me. I just want to ensure that the major things that are most important to you are accounted for and that you could count on a weekly basis that we have specific conversations around those items. Oh, okay, that makes sense. You got to remember, pre-frame the objection. Now, watch this. Number one, you want to frame the conversation. For all of us here, I'll remind you what framing is. Framing a conversation is literally the way that you set the context for the communication. The goal of framing is to get somebody based on their present belief system, value system, the way they see and experience the world, to understand something that they already know is true. So they have that concept in their mind and then level shift and directly related to what you're going to do. So I'll give you an example. And I know many of you heard this over and over again, your cell phone. Your cell phone is something that has a reasonable price, right? It's generally around, for most people, $1,000. Has a high mental value to it, correct? Because it's your phone in your life. If you lose your phone, you're like, oh my God, my life is over. Meanwhile, if you lose your phone for a day, it might be one of the best days of life and peace once you settle in and actually accept it. Now, here's the thing. I would say to Melissa, hey, Melissa, can I share, I'd like to go through our predictable communication strategy, plan, method, whatever you want to do. But I want to ask you a few really important questions first. And I'm just going to preface this by saying, just indulge me in these questions, because in the beginning, they may or may not make sense. And they're going to say, okay, great. And so the first thing you're going to want to ask them is, would you feel comfortable dropping your phone off to be serviced to a place where you did not know what days the business was opened and closed? And what do you think they're going to say? No. No person in their right mind would ever drop anything off. You wouldn't even drop your dry cleaning off to something like that. The second one is that same business, if it didn't have clear hours of operation, would you be confident in leaving your phone there to be serviced? Comfortable, confident? No. Now, additionally, since I know you're a busy entrepreneur or business executive, would this specific type of business be of interest to you if they didn't have clear after-hour policies, meaning how you could make an appointment in a time that worked based on your work schedule? No. And ultimately, would you move forward with this type of business, given that your phone has really high value and information that could be important at any given time, an emergency policy if you need to get in contact them for something that was urgent? They would say no. And you're going to say, great. If you don't want that experience with something as valuable as your cell phone, I want to ensure that when we partner together to sell your house, that you don't have that experience with your most valuable asset. Does anybody see what happened? Does anyone not see what happened? Unmute yourself and speak now or forever hold your peace. That's a level shift, right? I've had other clients use dry cleaning. They're like, okay, if you wouldn't drop your shirt off for $3 to be dry cleaned and have that experience, why would you? Some other people also use why statements. They go, why would you want to have that experience when selling your home? I don't really like the why statement. I like the positivity and the benefit in the end. And you're going to say, great. Now, the first question you're going to want to ask is, how often would you like to be communicated with? Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or some people add this in, call me when you have an offer. You notice there isn't one that says every day or after every showing. Then you go to the next one, right? What would you like updates on? Would you like the updates? Actually, excuse me. What is the preferred method of communication? Email, phone, text, WhatsApp, video messaging? Some people say email, but we'll go back because you actually want this to be a structured meeting, right? Then you're going to say, well, what would you like updates on? The number of showings. They're going to say, of course. Showing feedback, of course. Market updates. Yeah, of course. Any changes in the market, and ultimately updates on marketing results, the results of our marketing. Yes. Is there anything else a seller could humanly ask you for? No. Perfect. Now, for those of you who said email, right? You're going to say, we believe that we should actually have a call, that whether it's ideally through Zoom, and that we'll share an email update with all the information, a minimum of 24 hours in advance. So you can prepare any questions so that the exact information will be most helpful to you. And the next thing I would share, has anyone taken the time to share with you how showing feedback works? Has anyone recently explained to their clients how showing feedback works? All right, I'm going to call on Miriam. Go ahead, Miriam.
I pretty much tell them that it's the best feedback, showing feedback is an offer.
Okay, that's one. Who else raised your hand? Shawanda? I believe you raised your hand.
I did, had to unmute. So I explained to my clients that actually after listening to you, that not all agents will give feedback. As they want to focus on the properties that they like. And when we do receive feedback, we can use those things to be able to make changes if it works appropriately for them. But I also let them know that even though a person may not provide feedback, that I still attempt by sending emails and text messages and phone calls.
Perfect. Now, does everyone want to know the exact process to follow for this? So step one, you're going to say, has anyone taken the time to share with you how showing feedback works? No. Framing the conversation again. So when you are looking for a property, how many properties would you normally see in a day? 3, 4, 5, great. And at the end of the day, when you had that limited time with your agent, what was most important for you to discuss? And they're going to say, well, the offers, the properties you like. And I'm going to ask most anything else. And they'll generally 1 or 2 times, they'll give additional information. And so then I would say, Shawanda, at what point specifically was it important for you to take time out of your day and away from the focus of finding your next home to share strategic feedback that every listing agent could use with their clients on how to best position and sell their home? They're going to say, at what? At no point, right? Because as a buyer, what are you focused on? To find your own home, right? So sorry about that. My son randomly FaceTimed me during the day. And so you want them to say, no, I really want to be focused on myself. And you say, is it fair to say that most buyers are like you? And they're going to say yes. And you're going to say, look, at the end, as much as when somebody leaves your property and the Ring doorbell goes off, the agents are busy with their clients. And we have a lot of great relationships with agents. Some may or may not give us feedback. Other agents don't even want to take their clients' time as it's not in alignment for what they got hired with, right? And with additional pressure of these Department of Justice NAR changes, buyers agents are more focused on just helping their buyers than ever before. So we may be able to get some feedback. No feedback is feedback, and an offer is feedback. So the following day, we'll make an attempt through phone, email, and text to reach out to agents, and any feedback we have, we'll gladly share and update it in our feedback document. So the next part of this is can I share with you the four main drivers we believe for any financial decision that you're going to make. And this can become part of your chart. The amount of showings, the showing feedback, the market update, and the results of our marketing are the four main data points that you should make any decision on your home from. Does that make sense, Shawanda? So then you can completely understand how irresponsible it would be of us to share one without the other three. Because what we know from the past is if we share one of them with you, there's a good chance that you might solely make a decision based on one data point. So that's why we have a system through predictable communication that we organize everything. We send it to you in email a minimum of 24 hours in advance, and then we review all four together. So if you do have a question in regards to any of these things, we will review them all on a call together. Now, mind you, if there's an offer or something urgent where we have to review everything quicker, we will set up a call the same day. Would that be okay for you? Now, you can take a variation. These are all different ingredients that I shared with you today. There's no right or wrong way to do this based on your client, your market, your personality type, and most importantly, what you feel most comfortable with doing in your business. I would utilize these tactics, strategies. Now, the things that I think are most important for all of you is number one, explaining how showing feedback works. Who here is tired of every time a Ring doorbell goes off, they get a phone call and they're like, do you have feedback? Do you have feedback? Do you have feedback? Like, yeah, you're sitting at your phone getting the same alert they do from their Ring doorbell, and the other agent is sitting there waiting to say, hey, Chirag, my client just left the house. Here exactly what they think. Here's the upgrades you should make and the showing, the condition. Like, that's just not happening. This is not $1 million listing. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. By the way, when you want to show that you're a professional, this is how professionals work. If the Ritz-Carlton was in the real estate sales business, you best believe this is what they'd be doing. All right, questions, comments, concerns. Now let me show this to you. For all of you that are wondering, well, how do I make one of these plans? Here it is. It's all compass-fied and everything. And here's the cool part. You can put all your information in. You can let them know you have days off because no business is open 24 days off. If you're not available during working hours, you'll get a call outside the next business day. And if it's an emergency, follow the emergency policy. At 9 p.m. each night, I'll check my texts for emergencies. If something is urgent, I will be in touch promptly. You notice how you control what's urgent? Half the things that these people want to know are their own like insecurities, psychology issues, therapist stuff, impulsiveness. None of this stuff is really real. And then they sign it and you sign it. One of our great agents, Aaron Buckbinder, that I work with, he puts this in his listing presentation. All right, well, we got through all the information and now we have 10 minutes for questions, comments, concerns. Autumn, you have a question or are you stretching your arm?
Yes, is it possible on that form? Because I wanted to add like for my hours, Monday through Friday, but then by appointment for Saturday or Sunday, but it wouldn't let me because of the text format, like it's too long and it cuts off. Is there a way?
I would either go on Fiverr to redo this. It's a PDF, or what I would do is I would just type it into Google Docs, save it as a PDF, and find somebody with some knowledge of PDFs. Or the other one is I would upload the two docs to ChatGPT and ask it to merge page 1 and page 3, or this document and that document. I'll actually remerge it. One of the things that you can do in ChatGPT is organize pages, subtract pages, merge different pages. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
I love your by weekend only, by the way. That's powerful. Andrea?
Hey, good morning. So you said something along the lines of how often do you want to hear from me or something like that?
Yep.
I prefer to say to them, because I don't want to talk to them necessarily every day unless I have something to say. I say I'll give you feedback about every 7 to 10 days unless I have something important to talk to you about. You'll hear from me sooner, but I'm consistent on Thursdays. That
So
way I can be
just-
consistent.
Okay, I would suggest just booking it out as an actual appointment, right? Thursdays. I would be, for everybody, I would be blocking all my communication calls. You know, the clients are more long-winded and everything. It's really like a 15, 20-minute call, right? You go through all the things, ask them if they have any questions, and just align on like what you're doing next. And by the way, when you're having these calls and every week you're going through the market with them, when you need a price reduction, it is much easier. Right? And when we start talking about process and you go through the pitch, before you market a single picture, you ask them and you put it in writing, is there anything you want to change with the pictures, the copy, the text, and just want to confirm that you feel that this is the best visual story, representation, and there's not a single edit you think, and this will attract the largest buyer pool. So when they go back and it is the price, they can't go back and say you need to do more marketing, right? So that's why it says weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Or for developers, some of them just like call me when you have an offer. And they sign it, right? So it's an actual contract. You know, we've seen some people, I used to put in my own listing presentation, but just because I did this, I don't want to say anyone else did it. Every time that I missed this weekly scheduled call, I would give them $500 to $1,000 as a closing credit. Right. So, and what I found is when I put the monetary thing in there, that people follow their end a lot better. Mary Murphy. Unmute yourself.
Hi, Chirag. I recently got an assistant actually beginning of the year, and it's working out really great. But I wanted your opinion on having an assistant give an update. Do you think that's being crass or not being professional? Just
Well,
FYI, kind of.
your assistant can write out all of the recap email, right? And provide all the information. They could follow up to make sure that they don't have any questions, but you as the agent, because look, the best way to get more referrals is great customer service. Same as a hotel, a resort, a restaurant, or anywhere you go. If the service is really good, you're going to recommend it to other people.
Got it.
I would not leave the actual call to an assistant. They could do 90% of all the work besides the call.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Like an auction, you might get up, Andrea.
I wasn't finished with my question.
Oh,
So
okay.
if I go weekly and they say they want it daily, I want to train them like a puppy to not expect a call every day.
I would turn around and say, what specifically would you like to know every single day? Right. And just like in the seller pricing, what will happen for you every day? If I call you every day, what will not happen for you? And if I'm not able, you know, what's your plan B? If I don't work in a way that contacts you every day, is it literally a deal breaker where you'd hire an agent with a lesser of a service and strategy for daily communication?
Thank you.
Works like clockwork. Look, I will encourage all of you to come back at 12:30 for live role playing. We had a great call this morning, and one of the things that Edith from Minnesota had shared was how she used the dialogue with the agent and the multiple offer template to get a seller to cancel 14 showings and take her offer above everybody else, no multiple offers. Right, so that's what we are going to be role playing today. And look, practice this, use it. And my goal for all of you is have you run your business like a business. You don't want to leave communication up to chance. You don't. All right, everybody. As always, love of my heart, I love you all. Please, please, please start gathering and writing down one scenario that you deal with your client. They don't want a written communication plan. They want to go with their friend. They want a discount. Our goal is to collect all of these scenarios, which is arguably, I'd say, the gap between the income you want and the income you have, so that we can build it into our AI. So when you're able to type in whatever the scenario is, how do I approach an agent in getting more information to write an offer? It's built in there and it's trained. If we all work together within the next 60 days, Chirag AI will be able to answer every single real estate question you have. And we're putting our final touches on our AI course for all of you for August. So in talking to the accountability leaders who talk to more of you in small settings than I do, many of them had shared, please make an AI course, and many of us would be willing to pay for it. So I know we have the bonus month. So instead of charging you for a program that we eventually will sell and to the general public, in August, there's only going to be 4 sessions that I do. There'll be no other coaching. So we're literally building a program for all of you to get access to first, and that will be in replacement of all the different sessions that we have, because my goal for all of you is, I believe you have learned a lot of these systems well enough to be dangerous, but I need all of you going into September to be AI experts. It will change your entire life. There is not a day in my life that goes by where I don't use ChatGPT or the voice function or AI, or as I was sharing with Autumn, combining documents at least 3 to 5 times at minimum. Things that I used to have to pay employees to do, I can now do myself in 1 minute. Or I've trained them on how to do. So for August, we'll have 4 sessions. We're going to do them a little differently in terms of stacking them on, so there's not so much gaps potentially in the information. We have a lot of resource guides, but at the end of August, you'll not only be an expert in AI and how to use it for your business, but you'll also be an expert in using our AI, because we're going to train you on how to do that too. So as we go into the future, I'm a human of innovation. You have to live in the future. You have to. The business in the world is changing so much. You want to know how to use AI to your benefit, like Claude Notes and things along that nature, before your clients start using it and start thinking, well, why do I really need an agent? Make sense? All right, everybody. I hope you have a good 30 minutes, and I think all of you will be back in 30 minutes, right? Everybody nod their head yes, and I'll see you all soon. With love in my heart, I love you all. Bye, everybody.